intro, we're going to be talking about these 5 different points. So sorry, I have to look at this screen because otherwise I have to go like this. So your customer's mindset, discovery, storytelling, retail theatre, and our favourite topic is selling. So step 1, your customer's mindset. We just want to give you a little introduction as to where people are at the moment, how people are feeling, especially post-pandemic, where their headspace is at. So the first one is actively trying to shop small. What are your thoughts around that?
The pandemic really showed us that, there is still a real need for that personal touch. And of course, that's easier to get in real life and in that store experience. And people really value that in-person, whether it's online or whether it's in person, but that personal touch. So we think that people are very much up for shopping small. I feel like I'm sorry about this. So definitely prepared to shop small, prepared to go slightly out of the way, but not too much to achieve that.
Yeah, and what about like pricing? How do you think people are feeling about pricing at the moment?
I think if it's something that is convenient to them and if they have made that commitment to shop small, then they are happy to pay a little bit more of a premium. If they want something discounted, they're not going to go to your shops anyway. So they're actually slightly less price sensitive, I think, if you can deliver on that service and the quality and all the points that they're after, like sustainability and storytelling and all that. So we'll come on to storytelling a bit more later.
Yeah, I think people get in their head a little bit about pricing, and I'm sure you hear people in your store saying, oh, this is a bit more than I was thinking, but that's where the story comes in, which is what we're going to go into. What about sustainability? I know it's hardly like a trend anymore, it's kind of an expectation. How do you think that's kind of accelerated over the pandemic?
I think just the fact that we were all stuck at home and we saw the earth kind of recovering over those first few months really made us think. And also the fact that it's not, if we buy something that lasts, we don't have that same need of going out to the shops all the time. And I think that things that we were seeing before the pandemic has just been amplified, and sustainability is definitely one of them. So it was already going that way, and we would have got to this point either way, but I think we have gone further than we would if the pandemic didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, accessibility. So looking at different ways to be accessible to your customer and just bearing that in mind, and being aware that everybody may not act or think or be the way you are.
Yeah, definitely. And we have some more points on that in terms of displays and stuff. But, meeting them where they are, making it accessible and easy to shop from you. And we have some ideas for you a bit later.
So step 2 is the discovery. So we're kind of trying to show you in order of like, okay, this is where people's head is at. Then they're coming along to find your store. What about the difference between being proactive and passive? So I think the days are gone where you're just going to hope people like tumble through the door. Some people might, most people don't.
Yeah, no, I think visibility wins the race. So we need to be proactive and try to engage with people. I'm sure you all heard that. And I feel engagement is something thrown around a lot at the moment. But, don't wait for them to come to you. You need to go and meet them where they are, whether that is Instagram or Facebook or in person, local marketing. And we have more ideas on that. And we are doing a workshop later on today, which covers a lot of it. But yeah, you don't wait for them to come to you. You need to meet them where they are, and you need to be that leader that shows them and guides them into your shop, whether it's online or in person.
Yeah, I think also just being really clear where people are finding you and having processes in place to know that. So is there a checkbox on your checkout before they go through? You can make it mandatory if you want to make sure people are filling it in, so that there is 5,000 different ways that you can be visible and, get people to come to you. But you really want to double down on the things that are working. So when I started my business, I worked alongside an influencer with a skill swap, and I would say 80% of my work at the beginning came from her, and so I knew that that was working, and then I reached out to more people. So know what works for you. Know that if you woke up tomorrow and you desperately needed more sales for whatever reason, where are those fail-safe places that you know you can go to that is working? But if you're not asking people, then we don't know.
No, you don't have to guess. That's people want to engage with you, which is great. So you don't actually have to guess. You could just ask them wherever that is.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing in lockdown was around the micro communities. People were almost forced to shop small, keep the money in their local communities, wanting to be a part of that micro community. So that kind of ties in with where are people finding you? Is it local bloggers, local influencers, local radio? Not forgetting that there are those options there for you. It's not just shop and Instagram. And then lastly on discovery is just to make sure there's this consistent first impression across your different platforms. So whether, I don't know, let's do a hands up if you have a physical shop. Hands up if you have an online shop. Yeah, winners there. And hands up if you are just here to have a nosy around. Yeah, that was the first time I came here as well. You're more than welcome. I always felt like somebody was going to chuck me out, like I didn't belong, but you're more than welcome. Okay, so the last one is just having that consistent first impression across your different stands. So Instagram, website, your boutique, do they all have the same branding? Did you get your branding done 10 years ago, and then you got your website done, and then some part of it's been updated, this bit's been refreshed, making sure that it all looks really consistent, because it's the best way to build trust with your audience and make sure that you don't lose them along that journey. Anything else? No? So we actually have a video for you here, which we're praying will work. Oh, fingers crossed. So the reason we're showing you this, we can talk over it, is just to show this is at Prior Shop Bristol, and they showed a video of how people can discover their store on their Instagram. So the discovery was consistent across Instagram and real life, so that when you do take yourself off the sofa and you go into store, you have that that journey.
I think it's also, bring videoing and showing people what your store is like if you have a brick and mortar store. It's a really nice way to invite people into your space, and also to see if they are a little bit nervous about going out, how much space you have. I think it could give a lot of people a lot more confidence by seeing your space.
Yeah, especially if it's hard to find as well. So obviously this one is pretty easy because it's on the high street, but even saying that on the caption, I remember it was saying, she said, I'm getting lots of questions about how to find the store. So she just thought, rather than tell people, I'll actually show people. And it makes it a lot easier if you're one of these people like me who doesn't always read everything online. I'm much more a bit visual person.
And it gives the people an opportunity too, the ones that can't actually physically, shop in your shops. I think with Instagram and social media, shopping local and shopping small doesn't have to be your local village, your local town. I think during the pandemic, people, shopping small could also be national, right? So you have a much wider customer audience than you perhaps did before the pandemic. So bringing them into your store and your space, even if they can't visit you in person, is, I think, a really nice idea.
So the third one is around storytelling. This is another one of our favorite topics. If you follow us online, you'll hear us talking about this all day long. And the first one is something that I personally am very, very passionate about, is assuming people are interested. I think we can automatically feel like, we just assume the worst every time and think, oh, people don't need to hear from me. They don't want to be sold to. But I think, like Therese was saying earlier, when they're stepping into your shop, they're looking to buy, they're looking to browse, maybe they might not be buying today, but they are interested, and assuming people are interested is the best foot forward when it comes to selling. So what about stories? How would you tell different stories across the different platforms?
I think that it will in store, the obvious is to have point of sales and actually sharing the brands that you stock, and perhaps letting your online shoppers have that same experience, maybe through social media, by doing little highlights on the makers, why you picked the brand. Maybe even we'll come on to another example later, but to bring them into that and tell the stories. Why did you pick that product? You could do that here too. If you select a new brand here, you can share that with the audience today. You can have little signs, you can do meet the maker events, but you can also bring those meet the maker events onto your online platforms, like put it on your blog, put it in your newsletter, basically put it everywhere.
Yeah, I think when people, like, say you've been stocking a brand for 5-10 years, you might know the story really well, but there is always new customers coming in the door every day. You're getting new followers every week. And so just remembering to introduce yourself and tell your own story, but also tell the story of the brands that you're stocking as well. And I remember when I first started out, I would hear this phrase like storytelling quite a lot. So we've got an example of what that means. But just remembering not to jump straight to the end. And again, going back to the first point, that assuming people are interested, remember to talk them through trade shows, for example, like hands up, who is going to document the day here today? The answer should be everybody. Making it like this is your challenge for today. Do you want to tell them about the challenge?
Oh, so maybe do a 3-part story, for example. You could do it however you want, but thinking about that starting point, so walking into a show, why are you visiting the show? What's your purpose here today? Are you looking for new suppliers? Are you looking to meet some of your existing suppliers? Maybe do like a little video on some of your favorite stands and give a preview what's going to come to your shop later on this spring, and get them excited about those products and share those stories. If you talk to a stand today and visit a stand and they have an amazing story, why not share some highlights so they're kind of building anticipation of that coming to your store. So when it lands in your store, it's something they recognize and it's not the first touch point they get for that product.
Yeah, it's almost like starting that customer journey even earlier on. So by the time it does land in store, they're ready to buy rather than having to tell the story when they're already in the shop. So yeah, definitely thinking about that beginning, middle, and end, and not just jumping straight to the final product. And the other thing you can look at, say, for example, the beginning, middle, and end in this example is the beginning is the trade show, so starting that journey today. The middle is the unboxing when it actually arrives into your store. And then the end is maybe like handing it over to the customer once the first person buys it. Just getting people really excited about that journey. So we have another example for all of you people who don't have a brick and mortar store online. Fingers crossed this one's going to work. So this is a girl that actually made this scrunchie. Yeah. And she goes into store to source her fabrics. So all her fabrics are sourced from secondhand shops and vintage shops. So she has a little good browse round, talks about how she's searching for a vibrant print. And then, fingers crossed, it goes on to actually show her making the scrunchies themselves, cutting them out, going home. She kept one thing for herself because she couldn't bear to cut it up. And then goes on to actually show all the scrunchies at the end. So not just jumping straight to the end product, putting those scrunchies online, like where did the fabrics come from? Why did she choose them? What happened, like a funny little story along the way, maybe that's a little bit more of a personal touch, and then putting it into the box at the end. So it's just a really great example of showing that beginning, middle, and end. So something to bear in mind. And remember to video today. Even if you don't use it today, you'll be grateful when you wake up next week and you don't know what to post. Step 4 is retail theatre, getting people off the sofa whilst we're sat on a sofa. So why is this so important?
I think it's very, very easy to shop online now. People are willing to shop online. So getting them into your physical brick and mortar store is like, takes a bit more work now. There needs to be a reason for them to not just go online. So what can you do to make that journey? What is it? And I think one thing is, of course, customer service, because I feel that most small brick and mortar stores that I visit, that's where they win. That's why they win my money, for sure, apart from the range and stuff. But the range is the same online, but like they get my money because it's an instant gratification going in there, spending your money with them, meeting the person that owns the business or that cares about the business. it's just a different experience. So you're selling an experience. You're not just selling a product. So yeah.
I think the other thing to remember is, really making those VIP customers feel special, whether they're in person or online. So when somebody's coming in, it's not nice to meet you, it's nice to see you again. Even online, if you're noticing people's names coming through the checkout again and again, like dropping them a message online, even replying to the order confirmation, just saying, thank you, I've really noticed that you've been supporting my business. That extra personal touch, that extra follow-up is the new luxury. Whatever we considered luxury retail in the past, this is the new luxury, is having that personal touch, especially when we've all been separated during lockdown. So what about like meeting the maker? You can do that online or in person.
Yeah, just make it a little bit more interesting. I guess it comes back to that storytelling. But, it doesn't just have to be your story. If you're not comfortable being on camera by yourself very much, having meet to make it things that, whether they're in store or online, could be a really nice thing. You're not there sitting there by yourself, videoing just you, maybe doing a live, or maybe have it in store with a bit of tasting. Say you stock a local chocolatier or something like that. Then you can have tastings, and then you can video that, and you can put that on your website. You can do a little interview. You can put that on your social media. You don't it doesn't have to just be you on the camera if you don't feel comfortable with that, but you can still get that theater, that storytelling into your shop.
Yeah, because I imagine lots of people kind of maybe get a little bit frustrated if they have a retail store and then people are coming in, but then they might not be purchasing, or they try it on online and then go buy it in like online versus in store, back and forth, back and forth. What would you say to people around that?
I think that doesn't, as long as they buy, that's the goal, right? It's not where they buy that is the goal. I think very much now the customer journey is not linear. It used to be, they walk down the high street, they see your shop, they go in, they might buy something, but you are now, we're overwhelmed by so many things. Things are moving so fast. So now I think it's all about having lots of touch points. They get to see you online, they get to see you in the website, and then they decide to make a purchase when they're ready. But they will still make that purchase. It might just be that they need more of those little touch points and more of a reason to shop with you. And I think Meet the Maker or in real life events, online events, that sort of thing can all help to tell your story and to bring a little bit of excitement and get people off the sofa.
And then the last one is kind of a blooper because we did a copy and paste on the slide, but this should say pop-ups. So Therese and I both live in Bedfordshire, and there's a shop in the local town that we live in. She has collaborated with a deli, you were saying, when she did a wreath workshop, a flower store.
Yeah.
Tell
I'm
us
sure
about her.
She's great. That store is called Sisterhood. It's in Amtil. But she does have a lot of pop-ups. She has like a local zero waste person that is normally online that comes in on a Saturday and do like a physical thing because she knows that's something that her shoppers care about. Then she has the wreath thing, which is actually her sister. But and then she does make her own candles, so she will have a workshop for that. And she brings in lots of local businesses and collaborating, and of course they share it on their social media. When she did the wreath shop, it was, the local deli, the local florist, and her. That is 3 audiences and 3 businesses that are benefiting from that. And it is something that gets people off the sofa. And it wasn't cheap, but people were willing to pay because it was an experience. And I'm sure they picked up more things because of it.
Yeah, I think it sold out, actually. Yeah. So this is West Carolina in East London. She threw a party in her store to launch a new brand. And then what she did is she went live and said, "Hi, I'm Carolina. I'm going to show you what the party looks like. This is called FOMO marketing, everybody. Make you jealous about what you're missing. And so that even if you can't be there today, you can be there next time. But also, if you couldn't be there for whatever reason, hello, then you can feel like you can be there from your sofa. So it's just really nice to be able to see that Crossover between retail and online. Step
Favorite.
5, our favorite, but save the best till last, selling. Hands up if you feel a little bit like selling gives you the ick, or it makes you feel a bit weird, or you worry about what people might think. Yeah, no, okay, not maybe. These small little fingers are going up like this. So we are very big about talking around being of service to people rather than selling to people. What do you think about that?
I think people want to have that. I mean, we keep saying personal touch, but that is providing service over sales. If you provide good service, then the sales will come. So trust that process. I think is really important to not think about pick up. I'm going to sell you this pen, but I want to tell you about this pen and how it can make your life amazing, and how it can make your writing so much more enjoyable and your desk so much prettier, and how you're going to get compliments in your next meeting about it. Instead of, this is made out of plastic and it has, reusable ink, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember with selling is just don't talk about the what. Sometimes the what isn't obvious when you're online because, if we were selling this water bottle, for example, just from a picture, you can't tell, even in real life, you can't tell if it's plastic or it's metal. So sometimes you do need to talk about the what, but it doesn't end there. Talk about the why. Why did you choose these colors? How did it get made? Who made it? What country was it made in? How is it going to change your life, So remembering all those other pointers rather than just talking about the obvious and saying what you see. Then leading and guiding with knowledge and passion. So as a business owner, as somebody on Instagram, or a host of a shop, everybody is following you. So you're at the top of the pyramid. Your community, it might feel like a community, but it's not a true community in the sense that people aren't actually talking to each other. That's the sense of a true community. With this, as a business owner, you are at the top of the pyramid. You're the leader, you're the guide. So don't be afraid to lead with knowledge and passion and why you started this business in the first place, and making sure that you're guiding people around the internet, around the shop, to tell people what to do. I think maybe people hold back a little bit from that.
Yeah, and I think it's really difficult too, right? We've, a lot of these things came at different stages. So if you have a brick and mortar store, your major thought when you open that store was not to get on Instagram. So it can feel very disjointed, but what is connecting all of these different things is you. Like, you can be that leader and connect all those dots for people.
And staff training, like I know definitely clients that I've worked with in the past get a little bit frustrated or a little bit anxious to take a day off because the sales aren't as good when they're not in store. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, that you are here today and you're going to meet brands and the stories, why you selected these products to sell, but they don't necessarily know that unless they tell you or unless you bring them along. So I think it's really important that you have that staff training where you tell people about why you selected something, why you are selling that brand over that brand, so that you can share that with them, so they can use those little nuggets of why you selected those products in the first place to educate and excite the customers when they are in store or when they're shopping.
Yeah. And then lastly, just around having patience with people. I think, you put something online once and you put it on your grid and it doesn't sell and you just want to throw a blanket over yourself and cry and hide because nobody's buying it. But it really does take time, and just remembering how you shop as a shopper versus how you sell as a seller. And if you think about, I know I'm definitely not an impulse purchaser. There is a print on my wall in my study that probably took me about 3 or 4 months to buy and actually get round to doing it. But, that's why you need to keep reminding people over and over again about the fact that you exist, the fact you're brilliant, and just keep pushing them to sell.
Yeah, and you just remember that, they're not likely going to see every single thing that you put out there. So, I mean, it's really important to keep saying it. Like when I'm launching something, when we're launching something, we're probably on Instagram, for example, and posting 3 to 5 times a day. But it's not seen by the same person 3 or 5 times. So even if you feel that it's repetitive, it's unlikely that it's actually repetitive for your audience and your customer.
Yeah, let's do a final poll at the end. Okay, this is a fun one. Hands up if you are worried about selling too much because you're scared of being pushy. Yes, okay. And also hands up if you worry that your engagement is down some of the time and people aren't seeing your posts. Yes, okay. You can only pick one. You can't have both, you know? Like, if you're worried that people aren't seeing things, but you're also worried about being pushy, it's probably somewhere in the middle, and you're all right just to keep going. So it's almost just like a permission slip from us today, just to go out, be proud of talking about your products, and remembering that service over sales.
You know, they follow you. They know you're a business, so they know that's how you make your money. So there's no shame when you're trying to sell your things to them. As long, you know, you're not trying to force them to buy something. You're trying to help them find the ideal gift or the ideal pick-me-up or self-purchase that is going to make them happy and bring joy to their life. You're not saying you have to buy this. So it's their choice, you know, give them that choice by giving them the opportunity to discover you and your product.
Okay, so the last one is Be the Lifestyle Shop that we chose on Instagram. Something really, really simple. You know, I was saying earlier that don't just talk about the what. If you go on her Instagram and take a look, she's literally just got a rail. There's no fancy lighting. There is no fancy backdrops, no fancy blow dries. It's literally just the owner of the shop talking through the product on a rail. So just remember, they don't need to be like the works of Shakespeare or the works of Steven Spielberg that we're talking about. It's just showing people what's available and reminding people that there are things to buy. And lastly, this is Therese's now famous quote that she came up with when we were doing this. Do you want to take the floor?
So sales is the end goal, but it's not the end. And I think that used to be the end in the customer journey. We used to have the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. But people want to continue to engage with you and come back to you. So even though you want those sales, but you want to, after they bought, it's not the end. You want to continue to engage with them so that they come back again and again and again.
And again and again and again. So Therese and I are actually hosting a workshop this afternoon at 2:30. Absolutely no idea how many spaces are available, but
15.
15, yes.
I don't know how many are left.
No, maybe one, maybe 15, who knows. But come along at 2:30 or register online if you want to take a look. It's all about designing that brand new customer journey that isn't linear and taking people from stranger to shopper so that everyone has a clear next step of where to go online or in store.
Yeah, and we will stick around for a bit of a Q&A if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, feel free. Well, what's the time? Yeah, you can ask. If there's anyone that wants to ask a question, hands up, or we can stick around after. We'll stick around after. But this is mine and Therese's Instagram. If you want to come and follow us, we share lots of videos, tips, tools. Sometimes do lives together. But it's all about retail and selling. So if that's what you're interested in, come along.
Thank you.
Thanks.